Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a true crime story for the digital age. But this wasn't a heist that targeted a bank vault or a museum. It targeted something infinitely more valuable, the absolute foundation of the United States healthcare system. We're going to look at how a massive, highly consequential system was brought completely to its knees. We're talking billions of dollars lost, proving that our national security often hangs by a shockingly thin thread. We'll explore the breach, the ransom, the unbelievable betrayal that followed, and the massive fallout. So, let's jump right into it. I want you to imagine a scenario for a second. You walk into your local pharmacy to pick up a life-saving medication, something you or a family member absolutely depends on. But instead of handing you a bag, the pharmacist just looks at you with sheer panic and says, "Our system is down." Or picture showing up at a hospital for a critical surgery, only to be turned away at the door because doctors literally cannot access a single line of your medical records. Now, you might think this sounds like a tense scene from a Hollywood thriller, right? But this was the terrifying real-world reality for millions of Americans back in February of 2024. This macro disaster was intensely personal for anyone who needed care during that time. Section 1. The Invisible Healthcare Giant. 130 million, that's the staggering number of people whose information flows through a company called Change Healthcare. They operate as the literal nervous system of the U.S. healthcare industry. They're this invisible giant standing right between your doctor, your pharmacy, and your insurance company. Over 130 million Americans, that's basically half the country. So what exactly does this giant do for all those people? Well, their core functions cover billing, insurance claims, and prescriptions. When a company with this specific set of responsibilities gets compromised, it's not just your standard data leak where you kind of have to keep an eye on your credit score for a few months. No, it's a total catastrophic shutdown of the financial and technical arteries that keep clinics and hospitals running. Without billing and claims processing, hospitals simply can't get paid. Without prescription routing, patients can't get their medicine. When these functions stop functioning, healthcare literally stops. Section 2. One missing verification code. Now, let's look at the core of the catastrophe here. On one side, we have the threat, a sophisticated, highly dangerous Russia-linked ransomware gang known as Blackcat or ALPV. They are absolutely notorious in the cyber underworld. But what about the defense they had to overcome? Did they use some incredibly advanced, totally unknown hacking technique to bypass state-of-the-art firewalls? No way. They just walked right through a remote access portal that was entirely missing a basic security feature. The most shocking part of this whole digital heist isn't the sophistication of the hackers at all. It's the sheer negligence of the victim's defense. Let's define exactly what was missing here. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA. You use this all the time. It's that little verification code texted to your phone or generated on an app when you log into your email or, your social media accounts. Now, really think about this for a second. A company managing the highly sensitive medical data of half the American population fell victim to a devastating attack simply because someone forgot to turn on the exact same everyday security feature you use to protect your Instagram profile. It's just an astonishing oversight. Section 3. Chaos, Extortion, and Betrayal. Okay, so on February 21st, the systems suddenly went dark. The immediate fallout was absolute chaos. Hospitals couldn't pay their staff, and patients were entirely unable to get their insurance discounts at pharmacies. The whole system was paralyzed. So, to try and stop the bleeding, the company took a desperate measure. They paid a staggering $22 million ransom, entirely in Bitcoin, directly to the hackers. But here's where the story takes a really dark twist. It turns out honor among thieves is a complete myth. The ransomware gang actually turned on each other. A massive dispute broke out over the $22 million, and despite that huge ransom being paid, the stolen data was leaked to the dark web anyway. And what's truly terrifying is what that leaked data actually consisted of. The hackers didn't just grab a few files. They walked away with 6 terabytes of sensitive data. And we aren't just talking about basic contact info here. This breach included deeply personal medical records, social security numbers, and incredibly, even sensitive military information. It is a chilling mix of deeply personal privacy violations and genuine national security threats, all bundled into one massive 6-terabyte data drop. Section 4. The multi-billion-dollar toll. Over 100 million. Because of this single breach, over 100 million people had their sensitive personal and medical data compromised. This wasn't just, a bad day for IT. This event officially became the largest health data breach in the entirety of recorded history. And the financial hemorrhage? Well, it's just as staggering. $2.4 billion. That is the total response cost of this attack so far. That's $2.4 billion spent trying to clean up a mess that caused months of disruption for vital life-saving services right across the country. And remember, all of this immense financial and operational damage traces right back to that one unprotected remote access portal. I want to pause on a really striking quote from the source analysis because it just perfectly captures the reality of the situation. It says, "Cybersecurity isn't a technical luxury. It is a matter of life and death." For a long time, we've kind of treated cybersecurity like it's just an IT issue, right? Just a box to check in the corporate budget. But when hospitals are turning away surgery patients and pharmacies can't dispense critical medication, it proves that digital security is fundamentally intertwined with human survival. Section 5. Our weakest digital link. So the crucial point we really need to take away is this. No matter how big you are only as strong as your weakest link. Change Healthcare was a multi-billion-dollar entity, an absolute pillar of the American medical system. But all that size, all that infrastructure, well, it meant absolutely nothing in the face of a single leaked password and a failure to enable multi-factor authentication. That one tiny, weak link was enough to bring a giant right to its knees and fundamentally alter the lives of millions of people. Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to end our explainer today. In our hyper-connected digital world, the next major breach isn't just a possibility, it's an absolute inevitability. The attackers are out there, and they only need to be right once. While our defenses, well, they need to be perfect every single time. We saw exactly what happens when we miss something as simple as a verification code. So the question hanging over our entire healthcare infrastructure now is simply this: have we learned the lesson? Thank you for joining me to unpack this fascinating and honestly terrifying digital heist. Stay curious, stay secure, and keep questioning the world around you.